So welcome everyone to the fifth session of Discourses with Dr. Vladimir Yatsenko. Before we open the session, have a moment's silence, please. So greetings everyone. Slight reordering of the schedule. Dr. Vladimir will be looking at Tantra for the first half of this session. The Kashmir Shaivism of Abhinavagupta. And the second part of the session will be taken up by an integral paradigm of knowledge. Okay, so very much looking forward to this session and hope you all enjoy.
Thank you, James. I have to cover one more topic of Tantra, because Tantra is the closest to us, to the integral yoga in time. So we kind of cover the whole paradigm starting from the Vedas, Upanishads, Gita, now Tantra. And with Tantra, we will be ready to arrive at the integral paradigm of knowledge, as it were. So Tantra is unique in one way. It takes the knowledge of the Veda and puts it into another framework. It speaks about the same knowledge in different language. It develops its own paradigm, its own way of addressing these spiritual issues. And we know that in Tantra we have Kundalini Shakti, we have chakras, all these elements come into life in Tantra. And, and there are many different Tantras, of course. There is the Dakshina and Vama Marga. We are not talking about these. Today we will be talking about Kashmiri Shaivism of Abhinavagupta, because it is the closest to what we know as integral yoga. So how Abhinavagupta managed, or how Tantra managed to take that knowledge of the Veda and the Gita and put it into another framework. In other words, if we connect to the previous talk on the Gita, that nature is the doer and Purusha is the witness, how is that happening, that they are interacting? Through what means? And so Tantra, especially Kashmiri Shaivism, deals with those means. That means the means of self-expression, or what we know as word, or ajna. Yeah? Ajnana, what we know as ajnana, because ajnana is the faculty of consciousness, or the secret operation of consciousness, which is dwelling on the image of things by power in order to manage it. So there is certain willpower, which is, or the sanction of Purusha, which is reaching out to Prakriti for the Prakriti to act. So I will address today this issue of self-expression, or the power of speech. Sorry.
Just only one question.
Yes.
When we were talking about
Already question. I can't hear you well. Can you
Yes.
speak close?
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? When we was
Yes.
talking about the four operation, the secret operation of consciousness, which consciousness we are talking about? Purusha consciousness, or the conscience in Prakriti?
All four operations are simultaneous and they are all Purushas. And the point
Purusha.
is that we take one element more prominent as a self-expression element. So we have self-perception element, which is samjnana. We have dwelling on the image of things, objectively knowing the thing, prajnana. We have the self-expression element of subjective self-expression, which is ajnana. And that is which is driving the world, the willpower, the word, the logos. The logos is the power which manifests the worlds. Savitri, the Divine Mother, is the power of the word incarnate. Yes, she is the will, she is the Shakti. So we are dealing today with that will or Shakti of self-expression of the Supreme. So how this will is manifested in this manifestation, this world, through what means. So Tantra deals with this, especially Kashmiri Shaivism. So we will look into that Shakti, how it is invoked, as it were, and activated in this world. Instead of looking on of all the kind of examining all the faculties of consciousness, we are examining only one, the word, today, and with that we will see the rest. So it's kind of important for us before we come to the integral paradigm of knowledge, because there we will refer to Tantra very often. I'm not sure that I answered your question, but I tried.
Yes, I think so. It's only the position where I have to put my.
Again, I hardly can hear you.
Sorry. This kind of relation with the mental images. Now I understand they are in the consciousness dimension, isn't it?
Of course, so everything is in consciousness dimension in our presentation, right? Because there is the rest. It's not really our business yet. We need to know what is knowledge. Is there knowledge knowing which everything is known? So, and that is consciousness. How consciousness operates. It's all these presentations are about that. So in different paradigms, in different frameworks, there was a different approach to those issues. So today we will look into the Kashmiri Shaivism, and it is also rooted deeply in the Veda, in the Rig Veda actually. And also, I have to skip several things, such as Patanjali, Mahabhashya, different Patanjali of 200 BC. I have to skip Bhartrihari, which is so important, Vakyapadiya, which is giving the food for the Tantra. I will jump straight to the Rig Veda, and from there I will start my journey. So bypassing Mahabhashya's and Vakyapadiya's contribution. So by saying that, I want to say that tradition is very rich, and there is much more than we can even mention by the names. So Chatvari Vak Parimita Padani Tani Viduh Brahmana Ye Manishinah. The word has been measured in 4 quarters, says the Veda. This is one of those puzzle hymns. Those quarters are known to the knowers of the word, Brahmanas, who possess also the power of the mind, Manishinah. In the hidden place, the 3 are established, which do not move, and the 4th one, men speak. So it is the first mentioning of 4 levels of speech, which we will address in this presentation. So there are 4 hidden parts of the speech, and one is manifested. So in the Tantra, it is known as as these 4 levels, starting from the highest, Paravak, the highest, the supreme word, Pashyantivak, as you know, some of you may know, the seeing word, Madhyamavak, the middle word, and Vaikhari, the revealed word. So before it is revealed, there are so many things within which take place before it can be revealed. So we will look into that. In other words, why do we speak what we speak? Who compels us to say, as Kena would ask, yes, that Kena, Ishitam patati preshitam mana Kena pranav prathamav praiti yukta Kene shitam vacham imam vadanti. By whom compelled people speak this word? Why do we say what we say in the moment of time? Why do I say to you this, what I say now? Who compels me to choose these words or these ideas to be revealed? This is the mystery of speech, of self-expression. Why the self has to express itself in that moment of time, in that particular form. So here we are. And so those hidden levels have to be revealed to us. Interestingly, Sri Aurobindo speaks about this in the Upanishads also, in his way, which is corresponding beautifully to these 4 levels of speech. He says, let us suppose a conscious use of the vibrations of sound, which will produce corresponding forms or changes of form in the manifestation. Let us realize then that a vibration of sound on the material plane presupposes a corresponding vibration on the vital, without which it could not have come into play. And it's quite obvious. Why should my tongue and articulation of thought at all move if the vitality which is moving this physicality is not already tuned and decided? Yeah? There is a vital movement before the physical movement takes place. That again presupposes a corresponding originative vibration on the mental plane. The mental presupposes a corresponding originative vibration on the supramental, at the very root of things. But a mental vibration implies thought and perception, and supramental vibration implies a supreme vision and discernment. All vibrations of sound on that higher plane is, then, instinct with and expressive of this supreme discernment of a truth in things, and is at the same time creative, instinct with the supreme power, which casts into forms the truth discerned and eventually, descending from plane to plane, reproduces it in the physical form or object created in matter by etheric sound. Thus, we see that the theory of creation by the word, which is the absolute expression of the truth, and the theory of material creation by sound vibration in the ether correspond and are 2 logical poles of the same idea. They both belong to the same ancient Vedic system. What he wants to say is amazing, actually, is that the same vibration which generates in me thought and articulation in speech, the same vibration is creating the worlds. All the forms, mountains, galaxies, whatever we think. And we will start with a small understanding that Actually, all the things which we created in our culture, such as all in science, computers, electricity, everything, coffee, everything is somehow connected with our articulation or self-expression in speech, in the word. So we communicate through the word, we express ourselves through the word. So the word has three different functionalities. First is creative, second of knowledge, and third is of action or will or communication. So usually in general linguistics, they recognize only one, that is communicative aspect. But there are two more, creative and knowledge. Knowledge is also connected to the word. Once you express yourself, you can be understood, and the things can be done together. If we do not express ourselves, we cannot communicate and we cannot act together. So interestingly, that the same vibration which enters my consciousness and compels me to speak about it, that aha moment, I know what I have to say, now I have to find the way to say it, is the same energy consciousness generates and manifests the worlds. And there is therefore a correspondence between me thinking about things and things. Because the same consciousness power participates in both. Therefore, what I think and see how I see the world, though there is always this discussion that what I see is not the world, and the phenomenology speaks about this, that whatever I think is only a metaphor of the world is something else altogether. It is not true according to the Vedic system. It is the same world because the consciousness which acts within me and within the world is the same. This is something unexpected for the scientific mind or for the modern philosophers. How come that? Yes, we know that it corresponds, but that correspondence is not total, is not matching totally. Yes, it's not matching totally because of our limited access to it in time and space, but otherwise, even in the limited access, it is corresponding. So it's weird. Yeah? Even in our ignorance, it is working. So, so Paravak, let me cover these few. Don't know where to put us, that we will. The window. I want to see your faces and want to see the same time the presentation. Oh, this is the best way. So Abhinavagupta describes Paravak as the transcendental word, beyond creation, the very essence of the supreme reality, ever present and pervading all. It is thus identical with pure consciousness, Chit, you see, consciousness and the word. So Sat Chit, that very consciousness we try to understand, which is the ultimate reality. It is conceived of as a luminous vibration, spurata. You remember we spoke about vibration. If there is no vibration in consciousness, then being can know itself only as a pure static existence. So that vibration is needed for the being to know any aspect of oneself. Spurata, of pure consciousness itself, carrying within itself the whole cosmic manifestation, which is shining within it without any differentiation yet. There is no difference in this spurata, in the calm vibration everywhere the same. But if there would be any difference, there would be some manifestation of some aspect of the being. So Paravaka is indeed present everywhere in terms of Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikhari, 3 lower levels. For without her, darkness and unconsciousness would prevail in them. If Paravak would not be present in every activity, in conscious. This is very important statement, looks like not important, but it is more important than anything else what I will say afterwards. So the supreme speech, the transcendental power, is present on every level of the word till the end, till the absolute manifestation of the physical being or the manifestation of the word. So it's kind of interesting if I will explain this in the way. So if you see this can, and the word can, if I write here can and show you the can, so there are 2 realities which are coming from the same consciousness. Yeah? The word reality of the can, which is working in my consciousness, so to say, and the can as it is, and they are. So if the paravak would not be present throughout, this would fall into the darkness. But paravak, the transcendental truth, upholds the whole manifestation in all this physicality, in all manifestation of ignorance. Everything is supported by the supreme. Otherwise it would disappear, yeah? Because there is only one true being, the supreme transcendental. That's what he says here. Everything, stones, trees, birds, human beings, gods, demons, and so on, is but the venerable supreme word present in and consisting of everything in the form of that is identical with the Supreme Lord. Everything is the divine. There's nothing here which is not the divine and cannot be otherwise. These forms are manifestations of the Supreme Word. The form itself took form because of that vibration of consciousness which acted from plane to plane and manifested in the physicality, in the physical object, or in the idea of that object, in the word. Paravak consists of prakasha and vimarsha. This distinction is also very interesting. Or pratyavamarsha, prati avamarsha, or simply vimarsha. Vimarsha means kind of opening up. Yeah? Yes, Joel. Joel is ready.
With this, without her, darkness and unconsciousness would prevail in them. Is that then as far as she is not present, or is it like on off situation? Because you would say, I would like the mountain with the unconsciousness inside, illumined by the finger of light, cracking it open, basically the plateau cave shadow situation. So as the light is not there, so Paravak is the same as the light then. If it's not there, and as much as it's not there, darkness and unconsciousness are reigning. Or
right.
There's light in every dark and there's dark in every light, but how would you go into that? Because I'm
right. I think it is even deeper than that. It means something to say, as in my interpretation, that if there would be no paravak, there would be no pashyanti, no vaikhari, no madhyama at all. Yeah? The darkness would prevail to the extent that all of them would disappear at all. Yeah? So they are the product of paravak, and they are carrying her substance in different forms. Yeah? That's what it means to me. So without that substance of the truth,
Mm.
this could not come into existence. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that substance of the truth is removed, then the can disappears in the darkness. There is no can.
So it's Shakti, the her, who does all this. It
Right.
lightens up
Yes.
the dark, and as far as she reaches, something appears. For us,
Yeah, when he says darkness will prevail, he means from our point of view in manifestation. When we look from this point of view, when the divine withdraws, yes. So where would we be? We who are manifestations of the divine, we would fall into oblivion, definitely.
Vladimir,
It's an impossible situation. Yes, yes, Deep.
could it also the darkness signify the static element? Like if the dynamic is Shakti and um, the one without the moment, but it's encompassing the whole. I mean, I don't know how to put it across. The Shiva Shakti parlance, the static and the dynamic. When the vibration is not there, the one which is there, could that also signify darkness without any moment?
Well, I think this is more a metaphor of speaking, though there is something, if we want to go deeper into this darkness, since darkness is attracting so much attention, then the darkness was the first creation. Yes, the first four emanations fell into their opposite. So, and the consciousness and light turned into the darkness. It is infinite. The night is infinite. The denial of manifestation and consciousness is infinite. And so when the consciousness withdraws from its action of manifestation, this infinite night on our side from which we are looking at it will dominate all the forms. All the forms will dissolve into the non-existent state or oblivion, let us say. But this is more just to tell us, the statement is to tell us that everything, all the objects in this world, which we see, which we perceive, are the product of this consciousness. And on each level, on the physical level, also the paravak, the transcendental Shakti consciousness is present. Yeah, as Sri Aurobindo beautifully described from level to level. So let us suppose the vibration, but it preceded the vibration on the physical, preceded by the vital, preceded by the mental, by the supramental. So everything what is revealed here in this moment of time is the action of the supramental vibration. This is what it is. Yeah? I think this is the confirmation of the same statement. Is it clear what is meant? Yeah. So everything is pervaded by paravak. That's what he says. All right, I will continue.
I want to ask something about vibration. So I want to ask you about vibration. The this fundamental vibration. If everything depends of that vibration needs time. And in the same moment, there is not everything at the same time. How can I understand this conception of vibration, where it's all included?
Vibration is the word meaning that there is some activity taking place in the substance. We cannot really totally understand the vibration because if you are trying to understand what it is, it's certain energy is there. If you can explain to me what is energy, I will tell you what vibration is. Let us speak this way then. What is energy? So when we come to the irreducible elements, we truly speaking, we do not know how to explain them. Yeah? Because you can't reduce them to some other elements which could explain it. So like energy, consciousness. Can you explain what consciousness is? Chit, that very, or Shakti? What is Shakti? Force, energy? It's impossible to explain. So vibration is another word which helps our mind to kind of approach it. It's a finger showing towards some kind of activity of substance within. When it is equilibrium, in equilibrium, equal vibration, then there is no distinction yet. We can understand with our mind only by distinctions. So we need that distinction. So here, the language tells us that there is no distinction in vibration. Vibration is there, energy is there, but it is equalized. But then something pops up, something changes in vibration, and immediately we notice it. Yeah? And that is consciousness notices something standing out, vibrates differently. So this is the way of talking only, yeah? Because our mind otherwise would not operate at all. So it needs some kind of words, elements, which explain it, the phenomena. And we are speaking about the world beyond time and space, yeah, paravak. So yes, let me continue and it will become clearer. You will see about vibration even here. This paravak consists of prakasha and vimarsha. This is actually explanation to your question. Prakasha is pure light of consciousness. Vimarsha is a pure power of consciousness. The word carrying within itself the whole world in its potential state, as it were. All those objects of sense are there. All the power manifests the object of sense. Consciousness manifests the sense. So the sense and the object of sense are already there within prakasha and vimarsha, within chit tapas or chit shakti. Again, it's only the explanation for the mind. So semiotics, maybe I will skip this. Yes, maybe not. Semiotics studies the levels because we need this in the integral paradigm. The levels of meaning has three main branches: semantics, syntactics, and pragmatics. There are also three major functions of language: creative, cognitive, and communicative. And this is interesting for us at the end of this presentation on Tantra. The three levels in semiotics resemble the three levels of Vak in Tantra. Pragmatics is dealing with communication and is basically expressed by Vaikhari as the power of action, Kriya, reaching to a wider context in manifestation. Syntactics is dealing with the text as such and is expressed by Madhyama Vak as structural relations of linguistic categories, morphology, and syntax, how all the categories are organized in the text, yeah, through their grammatical categories, reflecting the cognitive aspect of language in terms of knowledge, jnana shakti. So first is kriya shakti, there's jnana shakti, and finally the semantics, pashyanti vak, and the meaning, proper meaning, the very meaning of the intention of speech is expressed by pashyanti vak as the power of will or intention, ichha shakti, reflecting the creative aspect of language. Now, this is something fundamental, really. It requires thinking, yeah? But we will arrive at this at the end of the presentation. It's just the conclusion of the presentation coming before the presentation. So pashyanti vak. So first was paravak, chittapas, yeah? Carrying everything in itself. That paravak pervades all Pashyanti, Vaikhari, Madhyama, all of them are pervaded by the Paravak because the truth is present on each level. So Pashyanti Vak is, the seeing word is indeed the active part of Paravak, which has two parts. The first, it's inner part, and the next, it's outer part of manifestation. So kind of one part is looking towards the consciousness which is unmanifest, and the other towards manifestation. This should be seen. Thus, the Vimarsha, power of Paravak, reveals itself from its origin in the form of Pashyanti Vak. It's from Tantra Loka. So, the Vimarsha part of Paravak becomes an active part of Pashyanti Vak on the next level of manifestation. So Vimarsha is actually acting and bringing this vibration into manifestation. It is conceived as the first movement of wanting to know. It is non-dualistic, of non-dualistic nature, where the division on subject and object is not yet made, not yet been made. So there is no yet subject and object. There is only a kind of intuition, a flash, aha moment. Yeah. In this moment of cognition, there is no separation yet. There is no distinction between the signified and signifier. These are terms of linguistics. Yeah. The sign consists of signified and signifier. Each word has both elements. Yeah. One is signifying, it is the word, and the other is signified, what the word wants to signify. The same as Prakasha and Vimarsha, yes? Two elements of consciousness, Chit Shakti. So Pashyanti Vak, this seeing word, interesting, yeah? Can be described as a transition from the undifferentiated stage to the stage of differentiation, the supreme non-supreme state of the word, para, para and apara word, which connects pure subjectivity with objectivity, ahanta and idanta, I-ness and thisness, literally. I-ness is subjectivity, thisness is objectivity. These two consist in her with predominance of subjective aspect of I-ness, ahanta, which already on the Madhyama level will change and both will be equalized, as it were. So only on Madhyama level, this ahanta and idanta are distinctly different. On the Pashyanti Vak, the domination of subjective I-ness is still there. This is the cause of Pashyanti. What is the cause of Pashyanti? What is it set into motion? How it is set into motion, sorry. The explanation given by Abhinavagupta is quite interesting. Whatever is thus aspired or wished for is indeed awakened by the necessity of certain action, and it is by only following that awareness that Pashyanti gets the perception of it and is set into motion. So there is some kind of invocation within the nature of our own which sets in motion the answer. We have to call for the answer. Something in us always calls for certain activity, and that activity is manifesting in us. This is what he says. I know there are too many terms, Sanskrit terms. I would love to avoid them, but can't avoid everything. This is also a very kind of intuitive thing, because it doesn't come by itself. There must be a ground which is calling in us, in our nature, to know something. For example, We can take more kind of obvious examples. Some scientists is working on some problem. Mendeleev is thinking how the chemical tables are connected, related. All his life he's working on it, examining it. And then in his dream, when he is relaxed, he sees the whole Mendeleev's table of all the chemical elements in the dream. And he wakes up and it makes the whole table, and that table becomes absolutely true. So the truth came to him from his calling. Yeah? We are calling, and then one moment we relax, we forget about calling, boom, it comes, because we can perceive it, yeah, in that moment, in that gap of time. Did you notice when you come to Samadhi in Pondicherry ashram, whenever you are very quiet and you're not thinking anything, boom, it comes. So not when you want, when you aspire. You have to aspire all your life, yeah? But there you have to come as if to forget everything. And then it is there the most powerful. It is the answer to all your callings before. So this is how it works. That's what he says. There must be some necessity of this action within the nature. Otherwise, Pashyanti would not be activated. So that higher consciousness would not answer. It is interesting to mention here how the hierarchy of Pashyanti Vak, he speaks about the hierarchies of these Pashyanti Vak, is being defined. According to Abhinavagupta, there is always a greater will, Mahapashyanti. So there is not only Pashyanti, which is kind of narrowed down to a particular context or time frame, but there is a Mahapashyanti, which is going beyond that time frame. And there are smaller Pashyantis and Mahapashyantis, higher and higher. For instance, and he gives the instance, I go to the village, says Abhinavagupta, and it is my main will, Mahapashyanti, but I am leaving my house and it is a smaller Pashyanti. This is exactly the answer to, so for me to go to the village, I have to switch off the light, to close the house, maybe to call my neighbor to check when I am out for the cats to give food. There are many, many things I have to do in order to go to the village. So to go to the village is Mahapashyanti, but there are many, many small things which I have to do in order to go there. Actually, this explains how nature manages all the activities which we discussed in the Gita. When we said that when I'm hungry, I think I am hungry. It's actually the hunger of nature which makes me move. Yeah? So there is a necessity which is answered by me, which moves me. And so how it is all connected. For me to get food, I have to do many things in between. So I will have to cook and I have to go to buy. So I will have to plan the whole thing, the whole journey for what? For feeding myself. So basically, all this is connected. All these smaller Pashyantis are connected. And to the village, I'm going also for not for something. Maybe I go to the village to buy rice to eat, but why I have to eat? There is a greater Pashyanti behind, because day after tomorrow, I am supposed to meet someone whom I am not even aware today. Yeah? So today I have to eat because day after tomorrow I will have to meet someone, and it is in Mahapashyanti, only I am not aware of it. So, and that's what he says. Similarly, one should see the plane of Sadashiva, of the Lord, as the great Mahapashyanti, in comparison to which all other wills of individuals, being subjects to Maya, are smaller Pashyantis. Moreover, all the greater Mahapashyantis can finally be seen as those included into the supreme Para Mahapashyanti, which is Paravak herself. So that consciousness which is Trikala Drishti consciousness, including all the times, is kind of streaming down, narrowing down to our moment of time, the necessities to each individual. This is the arrangement which the Paravak is taking and making in this manifestation. And that's why everything is meaningfully connected and meaningfully worked out. It's amazing. Yeah. So if this would be very important for us in the integral paradigm in one particular regard, that instead of listening to what people say, we should listen to what they want to say. And then if you hear their intention, because people are not very clear in expressing the intention, they are speaking many words which are misleading and the intention is not obvious. But if you are looking for it, if you are listening to what they want to say, not what they say, but what they really want to say, then you will come to that Pashyanti moment. And from there, you will ask yourself why that Pashyanti revealed itself in my context. So you question your position towards it and you widen the scope of intention. You will start seeing more. Yes, what is happening to your life, to their life, and so on and so forth. Yes, somebody is chatting here. Yes, it is. It is something really profound, which explains how everything is interconnected in a meaningful and active fashion. Not just meaningful, but active, actively meaningful.
Sorry for the noise because I'm in the airport now. But I want to express this is not about stimulus response reaction, because there is someone who is making the question. Who is making that question? Because in a same situation, in the group, maybe team group, in company, everyone can feel the problem, can feel the necessity of the problem, but only one could be.
Can you speak to the
is making,
microphone?
yeah, and only one makes the proper question. Do you know what I mean? It's not only
No,
stimulus response relation. It's something more deep. And
I'm not totally following you, what you want to say with stimulus response, and only one can question. I just don't understand this really.
yeah, I try to bring all of what you are exposing in a more ordinary language. As an example, I feel when you are expressing this, there is who makes the needs. When we are referring to the needs, is the stimulus and the response. And the response is making the question, right? And the question is not for everyone can make the question. Because if we put an example, if we are a team group trying to manage a project, and the needs are arising, but maybe only one of us is making the proper question. Then when someone makes the proper question, the solution is clear. But the question is the most difficult. And who is who have this shining in its own consciousness? And why? Because it's not the same for everyone. Do you know what I
mean? Well, if you could, the question.
How we can define the I, the self, in that process of making the proper question. It's
Well, I'm not
individuality.
making a yet reflection. Yes, I'm not making reflection of on us, who can, who cannot, why it is. I'm just explaining what Abhinavagupta says, and this knowledge itself, it may illumine you or may not. And for many people, it will be just be above the head. But truly speaking, this is not my even issue. What people will do with it and how they will be doing and who of them will respond to it or not. I'm looking for knowledge. I'm not looking for people, yeah, who will do what with this knowledge. So this is something very often coming to the question, how it will be used by others, what they will do. Let us see what we can do with it, yeah? What I can do, what you can do with this, what it tells you. It's much more important for me than for how it will be with others. Because with others is a second stage. The first stage is us. Do we really see the meaning in it? Does it really tell us something? If it does, then how we changed in this way. And maybe I'm wrongly responding because I hardly hear you what you say. It's over the one word I hear you, and I assume that you're speaking about that, but maybe you are not. Maybe you're saying something else. Stimulus and answer are going unconscious for 99.9% of people. Yeah, nobody thinks of anything. Necessities come, people follow the necessities. Yeah? Gita answers in this way that necessities are all done by nature and Purusha is a witness. So taking that position of Purusha as a witness and Prakriti as a doer, we can arrive at Purusha by doing things. Yeah? This is Karma Yoga. We looked into it the other day. So here we are in these kind of two sets of knowledge systems, which are actually developing one another in an interesting fashion. You know? So for me, the knowledge is most interesting, more interesting than even application of it. So I'm not speaking about application yet. The last three presentations will be about my research in application, and there you will see IPK, so-called Integral Paradigm of Knowledge. But now I'm kind of preparing the ground, the richness of the ground. I'm kind of putting a lot of compost into it before the flowers grow.
Yes, thank you. In some way, you solved my question with the same metaphor. Thank you.
I can't hear you well. This is the problem. Yeah, sorry, your voice is breaking all the time, and is it clear to someone? His voice, James,
No,
is it clear?
Siegfried, today it's not clear.
It's a problem, Siegfried. Yeah, we can't really hear you properly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's the
Siegfried,
main
we can
problem.
clearly
Your voice is
hear.
breaking a lot.
not
So
audible.
Mhm.
sorry.
Yeah, sorry for this that you cannot. But with stimulus and answer, it goes unconscious. Unless you're right, of course. If you're right, we can look into it.
Yes, you can write.
Or you are in the airport. Okay. All right, we continue then. Because I have to finish it's only first presentation and I have to have another one. Maybe next day I will cover everything in one go then. All my research. My research is less important. This is the more important. Madhyama literally means mediating speech between the undifferentiated and the differentiated levels of the word. It is still a projection of the paravak together with Pashyanti. So we should remember that paravak is present in Madhyama also. Only on this level, the language finally appears as the division on phonemes, words, sentences. there are elements in it which are all meaningfully connected. If on the level of Pashyanti, it was still involved, enclosed, as it were, samvartita, kind of turned onto itself, not yet vivartita, not yet revealed, but then on the level of Madhyama, it is unfolded into the mental distinct categories of language, grammar, subject, object, yeah, idanta, ahanta, thisness, I-ness, subjective, objective. So it is on this level only that the distinction between vachya and vachaka, the signified and signifier, takes place. Now, when these two are combined as a sound, being a substance of language, the expressive and the creative element vachaka, and the creation, that which is to be expressed by it vachya, they together represent the power of the goddess called Parapara, supreme, non-supreme, which is the essence of Madhyama Vak. So the Madhyama Vak is already putting it into the language. If Pashyanti Vak is aha movement, like I know what to say, what to express, but I don't have yet words, then I have to invite words from the language to fill it in and to create a text which will express that aha moment. Because only in the text it can be projected into the manifestation, and in manifestation by other people, it could be understood. The intention can be connected to other people through this device, yeah? Through the language. And Vaikhari is a manifestation of speech in time and space. That is proper speech. Yeah? It is always in time and space. It cannot be spoken at once. So you have to wait till I finish my sentence in order to understand what I want to say. Yeah? With all the distinct features of language, phonemes, words, sentences. According to Abhinavagupta, Vaikhari is only a completion of the process of Paravak. This is the end of Paravak process of the transcendental consciousness, which started with Pashyanti, led through formulation of the elements in Madhyama and manifested in Vaikhari. Paravak is present throughout the process of manifestation and is always there before and after the manifestation of the word. So Paravak, with its intention, is present before I spoke and after I spoke. It reminds me of the silence within the music. You know, when the good musicians play something, they create this silent atmosphere before, then they play. This silence is constantly maintained. You have to feel it, otherwise you cannot enjoy music totally. And when you finish the music, that silence holds all those elements which were vibrating. So something like Paravak holds the music of all manifestation. The word is not only manifested in terms of the speech production, but also in terms of the objective reality. We spoke about this. So here is the sign which I was already showing to other groups, which I created for this purpose, which comprises all that what we were talking about today. So Paravak is on the level where Artha and Shabda, the meaning and the word are one and the same. So the meaning of this cup and the cup are one and the same on the level of Paravak. The power, the object, and the meaning are one and the same on Paravak. On the Pashyanti Vak, they start separating, though they are still one, as you see. You know, The separation is already being formed, but it is not yet come into existence. On the level of Madhyama, Idanta, on one side, thisness, objective, Artha, and Ahanta, I-ness, subjective element of these Vachya and Vachaka. Interestingly, that even in the word, the word is more objective. If I write a cup, it's an objective manifestation of the word. Or I say it, it's an objective manifestation of the word. Or you see the cup, it's an objective manifestation of the word in the form. So either in the form of the word or in the form of the object, but it is still a manifestation of that Artha Shabda Paravak. Only in one form it will be the object, the cup, in the other it will be the word, a cup. So on the level of Vaikari, they are totally different. They have nothing in common. This cup and my word cup have nothing in common. They are separated. But on the Madhyama, though they are separated, they already have some kind of tendency to oneness. On Pashyanti, they are one and have tendency to difference, and on Paravak, they are one and the same. This is the end of my presentation. If you have some questions, so please go ahead. And you can clearly see here Nama and Rupa, On one side, Nama Shabdan and Rupa Artha. So you can see that what we were talking in the Vedic, Vedantic, Upanishadic knowledge, On the one side, mind and seeing, which is the form. On the other, apprehensive cognition on one side, and the other, comprehensive, the word, hearing and speaking. We cannot get out of this manifestation of consciousness throughout Indian traditions and different formations of knowledge, different systems of knowledge, as Sri Aurobindo says. We have the same topic, which is dealt with in a very similar manner, with slight differences in terminology and so on. But it is all about the same. And this is something what I want to prepare for our ground for the integral paradigm of knowledge. Is there knowledge, knowing which everything is known? This is the question of all our discourse. And I think there is a knowledge, knowing which everything can be known. Of course, it is not that knowledge which answers you everything immediately and you have in your pocket. It's not that. It is the attitude or the poise of consciousness which always leads you to find the right answers. That is the knowledge. Knowledge cannot be a possession. Knowledge is something which, it's a state of consciousness, self-realization.
Comes back to the psychic being again for me.
Right. Lovely. Psychic being. By the way, today I read such a beautiful, powerful statement of the mother, coming back to the psychic being. Let me find it for all of us. Wait a minute. This is the statement of the mother says, the will, what I call the will, is something that's here, and mother points to the center of the chest, which has a power of action, a power of realization. That's just to support James' psychic being. If there is a will at all to act upon not from the perspective of the nature, as Gita was giving us a way to find our unborn self. Gita built the system which helps us to discover ourselves in action. But if there is a will from our own side at all, which can act upon this manifestation, it can be only psychic being. This is the only individual will which can be true. The rest, the arrangements of nature. But to arrive at this psychic will as the action creating the worlds, we need much more. First of all, we need to find our unborn self before, then we have to discover that this unborn self is not totally inactive, not only Sakshin, but it is also Anumanta who gives sanctions, and then he is Ishvara, and in that sense psychic comes forward. Yes, Nilima, you are saying something.
I just was reflecting on what we were listening, and I just wanted to share it because it's very strong. And I was, when we're studying empathy building in our trainings in psychology course, and all of a sudden I realized that this whole talk therapy, and if we can, if we can delve into what you've just spoke about, I think we're talking so much about empathy. I mean, it takes empathy to a very different level. And to be able to connect at that level with another, I mean, the whole counseling process would just, I mean, right now, the only word that comes is just go through the roof. Yeah, I just wanted to share that. Thank you, Vladimir.
I totally agree with you. If we can learn not to listen to what people say, but what they want to say, let us say like this, yeah, not what they say, because they say many things, and they mean something else. That's why they always ask, do you know what I mean? Because truly speaking, they themselves cannot express it, only feel it. But if we concentrate on rather than on the words, which we usually do, we jump on the words, start criticizing the words, start thinking something else, then of course the whole communication will change, and we will be much more efficient and much more to the point. Mother says our communication process is so approximate, because every time when we listen to someone else, we take it in our own context. We don't take it in their context. So I am in my context, you tell me something, I listen to these words, they trigger in me something there, and I answer to you from that. So we are like those, we're just bouncing, we are not really penetrating, we are not staying within the same. She says to have really true communication, one has to rise far above all the preferences of your own context, and from that height to see what the person wants to say, the intention, the truth. We have to even find the truth in that what person wants to say, not what the person says, because he may say no truth, but he wants to say the truth. So if we find that, we are in the safe ground, and person will be very happy to communicate then. Yes,
Yeah.
Deepti.
Yeah, Vladimir, I mean, this is an aha moment after listening to Nilima also. Isn't it what David Bohm, when he mentioned Bohmian dialogue, worked on, like how you suspend the thoughts and how to understand that participatory consciousness using dialogue?
Yes, participatory. Yes, there are so many things like nonviolent communication. Also, there are more things which are coming up on this ground. How to properly establish the community. I do not know what you are referring to, unfortunately, so cannot answer to that.
Yeah, because it's so similar, especially the diagram that you have put. No, I mean, I don't know, something like in my mind, it's coming as the earth, the space, and the heaven. And how that the three things, like, no, the para becomes the common thing across all levels. And you also mentioned about when scientist is deep in thought, like, no, sudden, I mean, he's put in all his effort and everything in finding out. His mind has been very active, but then he suspends everything, and in those moments of silence, that revelation happens. So he is able to maybe touch upon that para. I don't know how to put it, like, no, and then Bonnian
Yes.
dialogue, the same thing happens. Like when you are deeply there and like you go into generative listening, there's a kind of emergence happening. The mind
Yes.
is not active, but
That's also the power of intention, the power of will or desire. They speak about this in many courses, saying that may whatever you desire, you have to desire it strongly. And then Mother says that every desire comes sooner or later. The problem that it comes later, and then when it comes and being realized, you don't need this anymore. You desire something else. And that creates a mess in your life because you receive always what you want. So it will come, but much later. And that will mess up your life because in that moment you need something else and want something else. And now it comes. And I can tell you about my life that I received finally that seclusion I always wanted in US, in this house, big house and land, beautiful, absolutely. And I stay here for 3 years alone, working on my things. I always want all my life, long ago, like 40 years back, I wanted that. Now I got it finally. Yeah. It's a joke, but it is true. I know it is true because I really wanted it. Yes. I am afraid that integral paradigm we will take another day, and which is okay because if these fundamentals are understood, integral paradigm becomes interesting. So, can we build knowledge in such a way that all the faculties we view from this spiritual perspective as faculties of universal Purusha on each of the levels? Now look at this, para pashyanti madhyama vaikari, from the transcendental word to the manifested word, all the levels. And I must tell you, on all these levels, there is the same mind. There is supermind, there is the higher mind or overmind, there's illumined mind, there is your vital mind, proper vital mind, and there is finally physical mind, the mind which is expressing things here. The same with sight. There is a drishti, revelation on the highest side. And there is the mental seeing, there is a vital seeing, and then there is the physical seeing. Yeah? There is the same with the hearing, shruti, inspiration on the highest level, comprehension, and to the hearing in the ears. So all of these faculties, not only the word, though we took the word today, all of them follow the self-expression. All of them are supporting that. So it's not only, that's why it is Pashyanti Vak, the seeing word, why that word was chosen. Seeing word, how can be seeing word? It's not yet articulated in the language. It's a flash, a lightning. It's all compressed. So in our integral paradigm, we will take all of these elements, put them together and see what we can learn from it, or how can we build a new educational system, what we have to focus on, what education should be altogether. Should it be about imparting information? As Sri Aurobindo says, it's imparting information is no education at all. It must be a training of the faculties, forming them. that they will be capable of discovering the truth. That is education. Right. Oh, there is something here. Wait a minute. Ah, Suzanne. Thank you, everyone, for this today. Yes, Tantra took a little longer, but what can we do? So if you have to say something or to share maybe some new ideas, some glimpses, I would be very happy to hear new glimpses. Yeah, like Nilima shared that in counseling, it could be a totally new approach. And I agree totally. And also in education of the word, that the word is not what we say, though the form is important, but what we want to say. That is the word. So you may express yourself not only in the verbal word, you can express with gestures, with body language. You can express yourself in different languages. Languages don't have to be only verbal, yeah? Not only English or any other language. You can take the language of the dance or art or music or mathematics. You can express yourself in many languages. Only the surface consciousness should understand it, that what you want to say. The message has to go through. You know, in Indian tradition, they are so developed that I was studying Avadhana. You know Avadhana, Ashtavadhana, Shatavadhana, all these Avadhanis in Andhra Pradesh, Kovuru, those levels. Maybe some, you know, Govinda, you know, switched on microphone. No? Okay, it doesn't say anything. So, and when I started these Avadhanis, they are absolutely, I will send you the link to the video. You just watch it on Shatavadhanam. I've attended several of them. These poets, they do marvelous things. But there are also other Avadhanas. Avadhanas means concentration. So he sits there and he has many prichakas around him, 8 prichakas. Everybody asks him to create a verse in a particular meter on particular topic, prohibiting particular syllables, and he has to create 8 verses, each line at a time, and then at the end to reveal all of them. And there is someone who is always interrupting him and asking him stupid questions, which he must answer before he continues to compose his poems. So it's a hilarious treat for 2 hours. He sits there, and it's all in the mind, only in the mind. But there are Shatavadhanis who are doing this 100 verses, 100 prichakas, 100 questioners, and he has to create 100 verses, and he sits there 2 days from morning till evening creating those verses, and at the end, and all in the mind, and at the end he has to recite all of them in one go. This is the power of the memory they have. But they have netra avadhana. They have avadhana of communicating through the looks. I look at you in this way and you know what I want. You know, all these things in India, they are also very powerful. You know, these gestures, all kind of gestures. You go to the bazaar, you see this gesture, you know what he means. How do you know? Somehow he communicates, he speaks to you in a way which is, or silence may say something. If you don't answer to the question, for example, too long, longer than necessary. So this is the answer. In India, they also use this means not to answer your letter. That means no. Which is very
Vladimir,
rude for the Westerner.
Vladimir, when Buddha gave his teaching, I mean, silent teaching, and Mahakashyapa kind of understood it, what is that level of communication that happened?
Absolutely, very nice example. Buddha was only raising his finger, and that's it, silently. Yes, it is a message. It is understood, but it has to be taken in that context. The context defines the message. Suppose somebody does something very stupid, and you say, "Oh, how clever you are." So what do you say? Do you say that the person is clever? No. You emphasize that he is very stupid. So the context defines that, what Abhinavagupta says, that the necessity, yes, defines how you may play, how you may express yourself, in what language. It's amazing. We are very complex beings. We read messages all the time from nature, from animals, from birds. We are constantly in communication with the whole world.
Is it possible to understand just the vibrations from the vibrations of a person? I mean,
Yeah, definitely. Also, yes, vital message you will get. The person is vibrating so severely that you want to run out of that room. Yeah.
like Ramana Maharshi for that matter, like,
Or Ramana
yeah.
Maharshi, you want to come and stay at his feet forever. Or you come to Samadhi and you just melt like butter and you don't want to leave. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We communicate on many levels. There are many languages which we perceive, understand, because we are part of this communication of Paravak pervading all.
Yes, we carry within ourselves an atmosphere, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. We build up and we carry it and we communicate it. That's if I am in a right state, I radiate the right state, and others, it's contagious. Others take it. They feel safe. They feel happy because I am happy. They feel unhappy when I am unhappy.
And
Though I'm doing right things. Yeah, yeah.
sometimes the medium of words distort communication, don't they? Very often.
Yeah, if you listen to the words, especially, yes.
Yeah.
If you listen to the message, it will not disturb us so much.
Yes, the intention. Yeah.
Mhm. In the university, we had a very interesting course in the linguistics, which was called the presumption in the text. Presumptions and presuppositions. This is actually very helpful for our purpose of defining the intention. For example, the teacher comes, this was an example in the course, and I'm using it all the time. The teacher comes to the classroom, enters the classroom and says, for example, Nilima will go to Chennai today. What does he really say? No, it's really, he says many more things than what he said. So can we start analyzing this and seeing what he really said? So Nilima will go to Chennai today. This is his first words. The whole classroom is sitting there. He enters and he says this. Now notice how context is important. His first words, everybody meets him for the first time. He says this first. So it tells us something, many more things than what his words express. So can we gather that information? We immediately gather it, only we don't analyze. Now we try to analyze. What is this presupposition, presumption? What else does he say? Yes, Joel. You're saying something, no?
Yes, well, he knows her name, so he's saying,
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah.
so, and he's deciding on her time. It's not a question. So that means roles. So, and he's the teacher, according to the background.
Very nice. Teacher. He's a teacher. He knows her name. More? Let us open the bank and fill it with all kind of things which are coming from this word, from this sentence.
Well, he came in, no?
Hmm?
It was the first thing he said when he came in, and it was the first time
Yes.
in class. And how does he know her?
No, of course, he comes to the same classroom, only the first thing he says to the class that he is in the class, he is the teacher of this class, but he comes to the class, enters and says, Nilima will go to Chennai today.
If Nilima is going, what about the rest of us?
Very nice. Who is talking? I can't see your faces.
Deepti. Sorry, my video,
Deepti.
I don't know, it's not working. Even I've switched it on, but
No. Oh, sorry. Deepti, yes. This is a very good intuition. Now, he distinguishes her from the rest. That means what? He tells that you, Nilima, will go, and others. What about others? Why does he say to the class that you will go to the class, not? That means that there was a discussion who will go to Chennai before, and the class knows about this, and they're waiting for the decision to be made by someone. Look how much more it means than just one statement. So this presumption is that Mahapashyanti, which is kind of lurking from somewhere, that Nilima will go, and so somebody else will not go. There was a discussion, and that person was denied the choice to go to this, and maybe already sad and crying there in the corner. We do not know. Maybe not, maybe happy, because now Nilima will cry that she will go to Chennai today. Nobody wanted to go, we do not know, but these are presumptions which are all impacting this small span of time. And there is more to it. Why to go to Chennai? There is something to do. That everything is inbuilt in this simple sentence. This we have to learn to listen to each other in this way. Yeah, presupposition. What do you really want to say? Not what you say. Okay, great. This was yes, this was joyful. Anyhow, this is my favorite topic because I'm from general linguistics background. Great. So let us stop for today and reconnect next time. And I will.
Thank you, Vladimir, very much indeed.
Great.
Meet again tomorrow for the last time. We'll be looking at Savitri, won't we, tomorrow?
Yes, we will do Savitri and the integral paradigm. I will show you the framework, which actually Joel and Nilima are doing in Auroville. And it is quite interesting. They have IPK, Integral Paradigm of Knowledge Unit, which wants to develop. Maybe they will say also a few things about what they do and how they see this.
I'd like to hear that. Yeah, very much so.
Great. So I will close with mantra if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santo Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.